So you're the Pope, the head of the Catholic Church, the ruler of Vatican City, the closest thing to God's spokesperson on earth. Billions of people look up to you, political leaders respect you, and your job involves blessing people and issuing decrees. Sounds pretty nice, right? Wrong. Because guess what? You're about to die. And when that happens, well, let's just say the church has a very specific way of handling your demise. The first step is confirming your death, a process that is both medically advanced and ridiculously old-fashioned at the same time. Doctors will officially declare you dead because, science. But the Vatican loves its traditions. So the Camerlengo, basically the church's top administrator when the Pope dies, steps in to perform the sacred death confirmation ritual. He approaches your lifeless body and calls out your baptismal name 3 times. If you don't respond, which of course you won't, he declares you officially deceased. And in case you thought this was enough, back in the day, they would actually tap your forehead with a silver hammer to make extra sure you were dead. Nothing like a little head trauma to confirm the obvious, right? Today, the hammer part is skipped, but the tradition of calling out your name remains. Once the confirmation is made, the Vatican makes an official announcement, and within minutes, the world knows that the head of the Catholic Church is no more. Your death isn't just a big deal. It literally throws the entire church into crisis mode. This is when the symbolic actions begin. First up, the destruction of the Fisherman's Ring. This golden ring, which has been a symbol of your papal authority, is immediately smashed with a silver hammer. The reason? To ensure no one forges documents in your name after you're gone. Along with this, your official papal seal is destroyed, further solidifying the fact that your reign has ended. Next, your papal apartments are sealed shut. This might seem extreme, but there's a good reason for it. Historically, popes used to have valuable belongings, and when they died, people would rush in to snatch whatever they could. So, to prevent looting, or, nosy cardinals snooping around your stuff, your private residence is locked tight until the next pope is elected. Meanwhile, the world watches in mourning. Church bells begin to toll, 1 ring for every year you were alive. Vatican radio and news stations across the globe broadcast the news. In the past, special messengers would be sent to kings and bishops to announce the pope's death. But today, Twitter and 24-hour news cycles do the job in seconds. With the papal seat empty, the church enters a period called sede vacante, which means the seat is vacant. And what happens when the leader of one of the largest religious institutions in the world dies? Chaos, except Vatican style, which means it's all super organized and drenched in centuries-old protocol. During sede vacante, all Vatican departments are shut down, except for the ones handling day-to-day church operations. Basically, nothing major can happen until a new pope is elected. The Camerlengo becomes the Vatican's acting head, but don't mistake him for the new pope. His job is just to keep things running until the next guy is chosen. No policies, no doctrinal changes, just babysitting the church until a successor arrives. But what about your body? Well, first, you're dressed in your full papal vestments. You still have to look good in death. Then, your corpse is transported to St. Peter's Basilica, where it will be put on display so that the faithful can come and pay their respect. This is no small event. Thousands of people will line up to see you one last time, and world leaders, cardinals, and clergy members will all gather to honor your legacy. Then comes the Pope's funeral, a grand, meticulously planned event that takes place 4 to 6 days after your death. The Dean of the College of Cardinals leads the funeral mass in St. Peter's Square, and the world watches as the Catholic Church bids farewell to its leader. It's a mix of ancient tradition and modern spectacle, complete with a final blessing, prayers, and the presence of global dignitaries. But your funeral isn't the last step. You must also be buried. Traditionally, this happens in the Vatican grottos beneath St. Peter's Basilica, alongside past popes. However, Pope Francis has broken tradition by choosing to be buried in Santa Maria Maggiore Basilica in Rome, making him the first pope in a century to be interred outside Vatican ground. He's also opting for a simpler wooden coffin instead of the traditional 3-layered burial mat, which consists of cypress, lead, and oak coffin. Once you're laid to rest, the church enters a 9-day mourning period called Novendiale. Every day, masses are held in your honor, and cardinals gather in prayer. But while the mourning continues, another critical event looms: the papal conclave, where your successor will be chosen. 15 to 20 days after your death, the world's most secretive election begins. 120 cardinal electors, all under the age of 80, gather inside the Sistine Chapel. Once inside, the doors are locked, and the cardinals are completely cut off from the outside world. No phones, no news, no sneaky emails to lobby for votes. They swear an oath of secrecy and prepare to elect the next pope. The voting process is old school. Each cardinal writes down their choice on a ballot, folds it, and drops it into a golden chalice. Then, the votes are counted. If no one gets the required 2/3 majority, the ballots are burned, sending up black smoke through the chapel chimney. This tells the world that no decision has been reached. They keep voting, up to 4 times a day, until finally, one man secures enough support. When a new pope is chosen, the ballots are burned again, but this time, white smoke rises, the universal signal that the Catholic Church has a new leader. The world erupts with excitement, and people rush to sing Aye, Peter's Square, waiting for the grand announcement. Cardinal Protodiakon emerges onto the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica and declares, Habemus Papam, we have a pope! The new leader of the church steps forward, greets the world, and delivers his first apostolic blessing. And just like that, the cycle begins again. But before the conclave even starts, everyone is already speculating about who the next pope will be. Some cardinals are seen as favorites, while others rise unexpectedly. Right now, the names floating around include Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, Philippine, known as the Asian Francis for his progressive leadership; Cardinal Peter Turkson, Ghana, a strong advocate for social justice who could become the first African pope in centuries; Cardinal Pietro Parolin, Italy, a Vatican insider and experienced diplomat; Cardinal Peter Erdu, Hungary, a staunch conservative who could lead the church in a more traditional direction. But if history has taught us anything, it's that papal elections are unpredictable. The next pope could be someone no one saw coming, changing the course of the church once again. And so, the tradition continues. One pope dies, another takes his place, and the Catholic Church marches on, century after century, always looking toward the next leader, the next era, and the next white smoke rising over the Sistine Chapel.